evening, Tranoa Mythological Natua Galer Fudna Crunya. Good evening, welcome to the Mythical Ireland Library. I'm your host, Anthony Murphy. This is Live Irish Myths, episode number 336. This evening we are returning to Lady Gregory's complete mythology and her retelling of Cuchulain of Muirthemne, that wonderful saga plus Remscale, plus associated stories from the Ulster cycle. It's a gorgeous evening here in the Boine Valley. It's sunny and warm and dry. It is blustery. There was something of a little bit of a storm this morning. That did not deter 17 degrees right now, by the way, Celsius. That did not deter us. That is myself and Simon Tute of Monumental Ireland from guiding a group of about 45 participants in a wonderful... Am I allowed to say that it was wonderful? Perhaps I should leave it to the participants to suggest whether that's true or not. A tour of Uisneach with a very strong focus on the Tuatha Dé Danann deity Lu and, of course, Lunasa. We are fast approaching the cross-quarter date that is Lunasa, the halfway point between summer solstice and autumn or fall equinox, depending on what you call it, depending on where you are in the world. And speaking of which, wherever you are in the world, whether you're new or old, or you've been here for years, or you're joining us for the first time, please do participate in the conversation by commenting, whether you're watching on the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel or the Mythical Ireland Facebook page. If you are watching on YouTube, please do subscribe to the channel. Please like and share. It helps with the algorithms and helps drive the traffic. I was very fortunate. I had a busy weekend. I participated in the River Festival in Athlone along the banks of the River Shannon on Saturday. And I gave a talk on local community radio in Athlone for an hour, speaking about mythology and legend with a strong focus on the mythology of rivers, with a very particular focus on the mythology of the Boine and the Shannon. On Sunday, I was leading a private tour of the Hill of Tara with a lovely group of mostly US visitors. And again, we had a nice day, for a little bit blustery, but it was otherwise dry and sunny and warm. Hence the bit of a sunburn. You may see the remnants of the sun screen from today at Uisneach. And today at Uisneach, lovely group again, and great to see so many familiar faces, including, by the way, one that you will know very well. She was a regular watcher of Live Irish Myths during the pandemic, and that is our good friend Mandy McCurl. If you're interested in participating in public tours with Mythical Ireland, keep an eye on the Mythical Ireland website on the tours page. That's mythicalireland.com. mythicalireland.ie will take you to the same website. And if you're on the website, do subscribe to the free email newsletter, where in the not too distant future, myself and Simon will be announcing a rather special, I think, joint tour to take place sometime soon, before the winter comes in, basically. We are going, I think it's okay to announce this. We haven't finalized any of the details by any means. We are going to lead a tour of ancient, drumroll please. Sorry, I'm just trying to do something else here. We are going to lead a tour of prehistoric Sligo. Yes, indeed, folks. You heard it here first. So, coming up in the near future, we will announce an itinerary for a day-long tour of the megalithic monuments of Sligo. Very much looking forward to that. Today's joint tour of Uisneach was our third, and yeah, despite the best efforts of the weather, We only had one short rain shower, and it happened when we were close to the stage where we could take shelter. And it all worked out fabulously, excitingly, wonderfully, brilliantly, enthusiastically. Again, I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to say that, but I mean, if you want to poll the participants, maybe they'll tell you the same thing. Anyway, before we proceed with the reading this evening, I want to say hello to everybody who has already said hello. Johnny Wilson, the first to comment this evening, saying hello from Dallas, Texas, where it's 31 degrees Celsius and raining. That sounds, I was going to say that sounds very Irish, except for the 31 Celsius bit. We very, very rarely get temperatures with a 3 at the beginning of them, unless it's just 3 degrees, yeah, or -3. And Elaine Dentlingenfelter, also in Texas, is saying it's a little bit cooler there, 28, but still hot in Texas. A very good afternoon to both of you. Elaine Dentlingenfelter is saying to Johnny, you're a lot hotter than down here. 3 degrees of a difference. Joe Butler, Auntie Joe, is saying hello from Colorado. Gorgeous day there, brilliant. I hope the two are well and feisty as ever. Well, of course, the two are always feisty. We've got lovely sunshine here. I'm going to leave the blind up a bit because I just like the fact that, you know, for a portion of the year, there's lots of light coming in the window here. We all know that in the wintertime, it's dark. So let's celebrate while it's still summer. Michael Pike is in the house. Greetings, Anthony and the mighty Tua. Greetings also to mighty Michael. Rex Quinn Fortenberry is saying greetings to the mighty Tua from the Louisiana swamplands. It's a nice cool 90F down here today. What is that in Celsius? 32.2. You're calling that cool? Wow. And only mostly sticky, humid. Myth on, Sir Anthony. Thank you, Rex. And stay cool. Lily Shambles says, evening, hope all are well in whatever weather you're having, including the snow in Australia. No way, snow. Wow, extraordinary. Of course, they're just slowly emerging from winter as we slowly descend from summer into the autumn. Brendan Byrne says, good evening, everyone from a sunny Glendalough. Thanks, Anthony, for giving up your bank holiday. Well, these are the things we do to keep the myths and legends of Ireland alive, Brendan, and I hope you're in good form. Desiree Riley is in the house. Hello to all, I hope all are well. All good form here. Desiree, no doubt, Coda will make his voice heard before too long. And I hope you and Amadeus are in good form. Michael Pike says this pint of Guinness at the ready now. Mythical Ireland Monday. I like that idea. Mine's a Coke, unfortunately. Brian M says, Fascara Tua, even. Good evening. Trinonawat, Brian. Avrian. Taras Jock. Obviously, she has come in and sit down. Fulcha. Rothio Marianne Lopez says, hello, mighty Tua. Hope everyone is doing awesomely today. I'm at my grandma's home having a seasonal and traditional meal called chili in nogada. I'm sending you a slice. Sounds interesting. Chili? Is that like hot? I presume so. Spicy. Alan Hoskins is saying, hi, Anthony. Hi, everyone, from a beautiful evening in Ballina, Killaloe. A slightly early autumnal feel in the air. Very fresh. Hope all are well. Yeah, the only thing about this evening is it's bright and blue sky and dry and breezy. It is a little bit cooler, but that's okay. That's okay. Michael P. Trott is saying, greetings to from New Zealand, Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud. Good morning to you, Michael. Happy Tuesday to you from all of us still in Monday, including those of us in the Republic of Ireland who are on a public holiday today. But as you know, there's no such thing as a public holiday where Mythical Ireland is concerned. Our duty is to bring the myths and legends of Ireland to as many people as possible, and that includes tours. I have no question that your tours are indeed wonderful. Brilliant stuff. Leslie O'Neill is saying, evening, everyone. Yes, it's a lovely evening in Bettystown, but it's a bit windy. Were there any kite surfers around today, Leslie? I can imagine the wind sports were at a height today around the coast of Ireland. Brendan Byrne says, Facebook won't let me reply. So I'll have to be the strong, silent type. You lot are spared. Feel free to share any humour with us. Marilyn Whitney says, hello, Mighty Tua and Anthony. Excited for tonight's reading. Brilliant stuff, Marilyn. Great to see you back again. You're very welcome. Brian is doing his hill climb on the morning of the 16th, the last quarter waning moon here. And our berries are not ready yet, though. The moon was a reddish hue last night. Yeah, nice moon these days. And at Ishnock today, we could see the sloes on the blackthorn bushes looking very blue, not quite yet ripe, apparently. Lynn White is saying, hello, Mr. Murphy. It's Lynn Murphy. Name change, but I'm a sea warrior. You told me. Yes, indeed. Morchabach. Murphy, the sea warriors of the world unite. Mariana Dunn says, Banachty, dear Tua and Anthony, from a lovely day in Virginia, US. So I'm seeing a theme here. It seems to be mostly lovely weather around the place. Leslie Neal is excited. Leslie O'Neill, even. I'm guessing that's about Sligo. Excellent. Well, maybe we might see you there. Anne McCallum is in the house. Hello, Antone and all the mighty Tua. I hope everyone's in good form and enjoying some cooler weather. We had sunshine and 16 early this morning, but now we're at a high of 28. Wow. And a bit overcast. As always, very much looking forward to story time. What would story time be without Anne McCallum? Richard Burgess is saying, happy Myth Monday, everyone. Looking forward to hearing from the good Lady Gregory today. Yes, indeed, Richard. Thank you for joining us from New York State. And thank you also, I hope you don't mind me mentioning, for upgrading your patronage from the Stone Age level to the Bronze Age level. Brilliant stuff, Richard, and happy to have you on board as a patron. If you wish to support the work of Mythical Ireland, of course, you can become a patron at the address that is scrolling constantly across the bottom of the screen in every episode. That's Patreon, Patreon.com, patreon.com, and just put /Mythical Ireland. And so that interview that I did on Athlone Radio on Saturday is going to be sent to me, and I will podcast it for patrons. So sign up at the Bronze Age level and get access to regular podcasts as well as lots of other stuff. Nico and Stephen have joined us. Hello, Anthony and Mythflix family. The mouse and I are on the road and listening. Well, brilliant. I hope we don't distract you too much from the road. Do keep her between the ditches, as they say. But thanks for joining us. Monica Regley is saying good evening, everybody. This time home from Switzerland. Brilliant stuff, Monica. You have spent a lot of time away this summer. So I'm guessing, is there a big pile of washing to be done? I'm joking, of course. Maybe the lawn has to be mowed. But thanks for joining us, and a very good night to you. Andrew Christie is saying, evening Tua, watching on YouTube. Hello, Andrew. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoy the episode. Barbara Murphy is saying hello from a stupidly hot Tucson, supposed to be 106 or 107. Heading back north tomorrow. That's, over 41.5 degrees Celsius. That is crazy hot. Adina Sparks is saying good afternoon from 98 Fahrenheit in New Mexico. And that's 36.6667 degrees. It's crazy hot all around the place. Hello, Anthony, Tom, and the Tua. It's sunny and 33 Celsius here, about 92 Fahrenheit. Wow. Good morning or good afternoon, Lexi. It's 23 Celsius and humid in Switzerland with Monica. Teresa Collins is wishing us all a happy Mythology Monday. It's 15 degrees and dry in Killarney. Looking forward to this brilliant stuff. What did I say it was here? 17, I think. And Scott Doherty is in the house. Greetings, all greetings to yourself and Bill Ann. Thank you indeed for joining. So we have a holiday today too. Brilliant stuff, Ann. Funny enough, our Northern Ireland visitors today were telling us that it is not a public holiday in Northern Ireland. Would you look who's joined, who's decided to finally emerge from his busy schedule? Tom King on Goa. Hello, Anthony, and all the clans of the Tua. A stout fire going and working way. I think it's time for a nippy sweetie. No, yes. Enjoy story time. Sounds like you're having a debate with yourself, Tom. Let's settle that debate for you. Yes, have one. And by the way, share it around. Monica's asking Tom how his banjo is doing. Bard work double on holidays, lol. Yeah, no rest for the wicked, huh? Amanda June Haggerty is here. We are in smoke season in the Pacific Northwest, so it's cloudy and smoky and cool. Okay, so all of a sudden that nice, warm, dry, sunny weather bubble has been burst. Not saying that's your fault, Amanda, but there has to be somewhere in the world that's not enjoying great weather at any particular moment in time. But lots of conversation going on, which is brilliant. You said it correctly, Mr. Anthony, and yes, it's a huge green chili filled with a delicious filling made with minced meat, seasonal fruits, small raisins, and covered with a sweet and thick white sauce made with nuts, rum, and milk. Count me in. As soon as you mentioned rum, oh, count me in. Send one over. Oh, yes, I'll eat it here while I'm talking. Oh, hang on. Never speak with your mouth full, says me mother. Rory O'Brien is saying hello from Cavan, Sheila, where there are young ladies and lads out kicking football in the park and runners running this lovely evening of early lunacy. Brilliant stuff, Rory. Can't wait to hear the podcast. Always enjoyable, says Michael Pike. Brilliant stuff. Loads of people saying hello to Tom. Looks like you've been missed this past couple of weeks, Tom. Definitely, yes. Susan Quinn is saying hello from Texas. Another Texan watching. Susan, hope you're in good form. It's about 30 degrees Celsius there if the other reports are accurate, and I've no reason to doubt that they are indeed accurate. Hi, Anthony. Loads of washing, caravan cleaning, and plus more the work in the house now. Yeah, lots to catch up on, Monica, I'm sure. But you can take a break for Live Irish Myths. You can just put the feet up for an hour and a half and just forget about it all. New Hampshire will soon hit the season of triple digits. Doesn't last long, but it's not so pleasant. I can't imagine so. I started to tune my 12-string guitar today, says Monica. Wow. How long does tuning a 12-string guitar take? Lily Shambles, first day out of sickbed for a while, got COVID and pneumonia again. Oh, who's got the rum? That could help. That's Rothio. It's part of a meal involving a chili. And I don't mean something cold. I mean something hot. It's ironic that something hot should be called chili, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Anyway, I'm all caught up with the comments for now. So let us proceed with the reading. Have I any other announcements? I don't think so. So let's get at it. Just to say, if you're coming to Ireland and you want a private tour of the monuments and the myths on the landscape, get in touch through the Mythical Ireland website. I must update the tours page too, since the Lunacy tour is now in the past. But there are two Newgrange Farm Archaeological Park and Newgrange Chamber tours left. One is tomorrow week, the 12th of August, and the other is the following Wednesday, the 20th of August. The last two Newgrange tours of the season, and you can book those on the Mythical Ireland website. I will share that link in case you're interested in coming on that tour, which includes a visit inside the Chamber of Newgrange. Now, let me just silence my phone because it just beeped, and we do not want that kind of interruption, do we? Right, let's get going then. Chili and rum could help. Yeah, sounds like an interesting possibility. All right. Okay, let's pick it up where we left off. When he was driving across the plain of Bregia, Laeg, his chariot driver, this is Cuchulainn's chariot driver, asked him, "What now was the meaning of the words you and the maiden Emer were speaking together?" "Do you not know," said Cuchulainn, "that I came to court Emer, and it is for this reason we put a cloak on our words, that the young girls with her might not understand what I had come for. For if Forgall knew it, he would not consent to it. But to you, Laeg, he said, I will tell the meaning of our talk." Excuse me. Where did you come from? Said she. From Intide Auna, said I, and I meant by that from Awan Macha, for it took its name from Macha, daughter of Ead the Red, one of the 3 kings of Ireland. Coda says hello. Didn't take him long, did it? We're literally on the 2nd paragraph of the reading, and he's decided he wants to join in. Ead the Red, Ead Rua. When he died, Macha asked for the kingship, but the sons of Ditharva said they would not give kingship to a woman. So she fought against them and routed them, and they went as exiles to the wild places of Connacht. And after a while she went in search of them, and she took them by treachery and brought them all in one chain to Ulster. The men of Ulster wanted to kill them, but she said, no, for that would be a disgrace on my good government. But let them be my servants, she said, and let them dig a rath for me, that shall be the chief seat of Ulster forever. Then she marked out the rath for them with the gold pin on her neck, and its name came from that, a brooch in the neck of Macha. So this is fascinating, because the outline of the great enclosure of Owen Macha, mythologically, was said to have been traced out by the goddess Macha with a gold pin from her brooch. I think that's fascinating. The man in whose house we slept is Ronca, Ronca, the fisherman of Conchobar. A man that tends cattle, I said, for he catches fish on his line under the sea, and the fish are the cattle of the sea, and the sea is the plain of Tethra, a king of the kings of the Famor. So anywhere in Irish myth where we see reference to the plain of Tethra, that is basically a poetic metaphor or kenning for the sea. And so, for instance, in one of his poems, the Milesian bard Amergin, upon arrival in Ireland, says, who sees the cattle rising out of the plain of Tethra and shining in the bright heavens? Something along those lines. And I think when he's talking about the cattle rising out of the ocean, I think he's talking about the stars in that case. Anthony Murphy Coda keeps hearing about a mythical hound and is feeling a little hurt. Perhaps he's hearing all about this hound of Ulster and he's saying, I want to be part of that story. How do we block Monumental Ireland? Why would you want to block Monumental Ireland, Elaine? That's Simon Tute, my good friend, who I did the tour at Ishnock with today. Not sure why you'd want. Why? I'm completely miffed by that question. Anyway, I shall proceed with due caution. Where is the... Yes. Our food was the ruin of a chariot. This is where I injected humor last week. I told you I wouldn't like it. For a foal was cooked for us on the hearth, and it is the horse that holds up the chariot. Between the two mountains of the wood, I said, these are the two mountains between which we came, Sliabh Fuad to the west and Sliabh Cúchulainn to the east of us. So Sliabh Fuad, the Fuse Mountains of South Armagh, and Sliabh Cúchulainn, the old Irish name for what we call Sliabh Gullion today. Sliabh Gullion fascinatingly, has two Neolithic cairns on the top of it. One of those is the Calivera's house, with a winter solstice alignment towards Loch Crew and Ishnok. And we were in Orcil between them, Oircil, the wood that is between the two. The road, I said, from the cover of the sea, that is from the plain of Muirthemne. And it is from this it got its name. So this is from the story that is called Tochmarc Emer, the wooing of Emer, which is one of the Remscale of Toynbee Cúchulainn. And I have quoted this in my Mythical Ireland book, where I have a chapter about the Mata, this mysterious monster that was dismembered at Newgrange and thrown into the Boine. A variant of that story says that it was a great sea monster that was killed by the Dogda. Anyway, that's from this story. And it is from this that it got its name. There was at one time a magic sea on it. That is the plain that is called Muirthemne, which, by the way, is the territory today known as County Louth, which is where I'm located right now. County Lou Samel Donach, Louth getting its name from Lou. But the old name of it, Muirthemne, meaning the cover of the sea. There was at one time a magic sea on it with a sea turtle in it that used to suck men down, until the Dogda came with his club of anger and sang these words so that it ebbed away on the moment. Silence on your hollow head, silence on your dark body, silence on your dark brow. So the Dogda used his club and bashed the sea monster, which is described as a sea turtle, on the head. And when he did so, obviously he killed the great monster. But when he did so, the sea dissipated, or receded, and the dry land returned. Over the great secret of the men of day, DEA, I said. That is a wonderful secret and a wonderful whisper, because it was there that the gathering to the Battle of Moytura was first whispered of by the Tuatha De Danann. Over the horses of Awan, I said, when Emma Neved, son of Nava, N-A-M-A, but with Lenishan would be Nava, reigned over the gale. He had his two horses reared for him in She Erkman of the Tuatha De Danann. And when those horses were let loose from the She, a bright stream burst out after them, and the foam spread over the land for a great length of time. And there was there to the end of a year, so that the water was called Uiniv, that is, foam on the water, and it is Uiniv today. I am going to ignore you for the moment, Elaine. Yes, indeed, good advice. Monumental Ireland, he's a good guy. We're Simon and I are cut from the same cloth. We've many common interests, and he's very good at tying in all of the mythology in association with the prehistoric sites. The back of the great sow, I said, that is Drivna Bray, or Drivna Breg, the ridge of Brain. For the shape of a sow appeared to the sons of Mila on every hill and on every height in Ireland when they came over the sea and wanted to land by force, after a spell had been cast on it by the Tuatha De Danann. And that, it doesn't say it here, but that gave rise to one of the many names for Ireland, well, Hog Island, from the fact that the Tuatha De Danann were able to, disguise themselves as great sows or pigs. The valley of the great dam, I said, between the god and his druid. That is, between Angus Og of the She of the Brew, that's Newgrange, by the way, and his druid to the west of the Brew. And between them was the one woman, the wife of the smith. That is the way I went, between the hill of the She of the Brew, where Angus is, and the She of Bressal the Druid. Over the marrow of the woman, I said. That is the Brunne, and it gets its name from Boine, the wife of Necton, son of Lavry. She went down to the hidden well at the bottom of the Dun with the three cupbearers of Necton, Flex and Lex and Luam. The names vary, by the way, according to where you read the story. Flesk and Lesk and Luam are the variants. No one came back from that well without blemish, unless the three cupbearers went with him. But the queen went out of pride and overbearing to the well, and it is what she said, that nothing would spoil her shape or put a blemish on her. So this is the famous story of Necton's well and how Boine approached it, and the formation or creation myth of the Boyne Valley. Mark it up as a senior moment for me. I will do, Elaine. Yeah, that's okay. A quick question, Andrew Christie. Do you think all the little abstract stories within the tales are part of the secret language? Absolutely. Yes. This is a way of the poet basically telling those who are listening that we speak in riddles and metaphors and symbol and kennings. And that can be translated if you listen carefully and if you know the key to unlock the door. I've absolutely no doubt about that. Yeah, so the queen went, that is Boan or Bowen, out of pride and overbearing to the well. And it is what she said, that nothing would spoil her shape or put a blemish on her. She passed left-hand wise around the well, that is Tohal or Widdershins, not Jeshel, which is the natural way to go, the sunwise, clockwise way to go, to mock at its powers. Then 3 waves broke over her and bruised her 2 knees and her right hand and one of her eyes. And she ran out of the Dun to escape until she came to the sea. And wherever she ran, the water followed after her. Segan, now that's, yeah, so some interesting spellings going on here. Segan, Segain, was its name, but in fact, its name Segish, Segais. Get your signed copy of Return to Segish on the Mythical Ireland website. Quick plug. Segan was the name of it, was its name on the Dun. The river Segsha, Segsa, from the Dun to the pool of Mochua, the hand of the wife of Necton, and the knee of the wife of Necton after that, from the parts of her that were dismembered. So this is a very ancient creation myth theme. I've written about this in my Bowen book, also available on the Mythical Ireland website, signed copy. If you order any of my books on the website, you get signed copies. Oh yeah, let me just make it easy for you. Return to Segish signed copy is here. Bowen, goddess of the river Boyne and the Milky Way, is, sorry, for some reason it's not letting me, oh yeah, okay, is here. Good evening to Paul Goran, who's in Wroclaw in Poland. Very good evening to you, Paul. I know what has you in Poland. Very good. Good night, really, isn't it? It's probably already getting dark there if it's not dark already. The sun is just about still up here. Anyway, thank you for joining us. The Boine in Meath, Arcet, it is called, from the Finda to the Trova. Arcet, A-R-C-A-I-T, is a variant spelling of arrogant, which literally means silver. The marrow of the woman, from the Truma to the sea. So these names of the Boyne are also given in the metrical Dinshenica, slightly varying but only very slightly to this. But the arm and the leg of the wife of Nuadu, it is known in places. And again, that's from, it doesn't say it here, it says that she was bruised. But in fact, the Dunchanicus tells us that she was deprived of an eye and deprived of an arm and deprived of a leg. She's being dismembered. And that's a very, very ancient creation myth theme from Indo-European mythology, where a giant, a goddess, a god, sometimes a monster is dismembered. And its parts form the new world, the new cosmos. Sometimes the earth and sky, sometimes the earth and its rivers and its natural features. And don't forget that as well as the Boine story, Boine or Boann, being dismembered and her parts forming the river Boine, we also have the story of the Mata, the monster, which is referred to here on the previous page as being the sea turtle. But in the other variant, in the Dunchanicus, that monster is like a giant hydra, a slow-moving sort of serpentine creature that licks up the Boyne, sucks all the water out of it until it's a dry river valley. The men of Ulster or the men of Ireland, depending on which version you read, dragged the monster to Newgrange, and on top there was a stone called Lech Ben, and they dismember the monster and throw its pieces into the river, which obviously has begun to flow again, and its parts form the new landscape, basically. How's the tea? yeah. It's actually Coke, but nobody knows what's really in there, and I'm not going to show them. Good to see you today, Francis, and a lovely, lovely day at Ishnok. What has you in Poland? So we will know as much, Anthony. If I go to Poland, it'll probably be for myths and monuments of some kind. Rothio tells us, I'm reading along with my Lady Gregory copy. Brilliant stuff. Great to hear it, Rothio. Paul is teaching advanced carbon fiber repairs to composite aviation technicians. Are these aviation technicians made up from various parts? That's an attempt at humor. Interesting that we're talking about dismemberment and being made of parts. Yeah, fascinating. And McCallum is also reading along. Brilliant stuff. The boar, said I, and his dam. That is between Cletchach and Feshy. Cletchach, in my Finn and the Salmon of Knowledge monograph, I help to identify the site of that, and that is overlooking the bend of the Boyne across the river from Nouth. You could also get signed copies of that book on the Mythical Ireland website. For Cletchach is the name for a boar, but it is also the name for a king, the leader of great hosts, and Feshy is the name for the great sow of a farmer's house. This tale, for me, Tuchmark Emer, is very rich. And of course, it's fascinating because the other famous wooing story, the other really well-known one, is Tuchmark Etain. And in Tuchmark Etain, a great deal of the action takes place at Brúna. And here we are in another wooing tale, equally famous. We have a lot of the action taking place at Brúna and between there and Awamacha. The king of Anna, I said, and his servant, that is Kerna, through which we passed. And that is its name since Enna Einach put Kerna, king of Anna, to death on that hill. And he put his steward to death in the east of that place. So what is happening here is Cuchulainn is retracing the route that he took from Awamacha to Luglachta Loga, the Garden of Lugh, when he was going to visit Emer. Initially, he speaks entirely in metaphorical or kenning, in metaphorical language or poetic kennings, because he doesn't want the other ladies to understand. So let's just go back a bit before we go forward. This was from the previous episode, last week's episode, but let's just read it again. Where are you come from, she asked him, and he answered her in riddles, that her companions might not understand him. And he said, from Intide Auna. And where did you sleep? We slept, he said, in the house of the man that tends the cattle of the plain of Tethra. What was your food there? The ruin of a chariot. Which way did you come? Between the two mountains of the wood. And after that, from the cover of the sea, over the great secret of the Tuatha De Danann, and the foam of the horses of Awan, over the Morrigoo's garden, and the great sow's back, over the valley of the great dam, between the god and his druid, over the marrow of the woman, between the boar and his dam, over the washing place of the horses of day, between the king of Anna and his servant, to Mandquilla of the four corners of the world, over great crime and the remnants of the great feast, between the vat and the little vat, to the gardens of Lu, to the daughters of Tethra, the nephew of the king of the Fomor. Now, fascinatingly, when he's recalling the exact route and the meaning of these riddles, he talks about passing westwards between the Brew of Engus, Sheedan Broga, Shion Vru, the She of the Machog, and his druid to the west of the Brew. Now, interestingly, Geraldine Stout, the archaeologist, has drawn attention to the fact that there is an ancient ford or river crossing point on the Boine at Rosnaree. And to get down to the river, to cross the river there, you would, if you were coming from the north, pass a little bit west of Newgrange and head straight down to the river. And there's the ford in front of you. That ford, to this day, is crossable, especially in the summer. It's one of those augmented fords where, at some time in the past, people put lots of rocks and stones and pebbles into the bed of the river to make a sort of, something of a causeway, to raise the level of the riverbed, so that when the river is, in fairly full stream, that a person, especially on horseback, could make it across. And the people who live down there, who I know very well, told me that during the summer, their kids used to often play in the river and were able to easily wade across and back at this ancient fording point of the Boyne. It is marked on the original 1830s Ordnance Survey map of the bend of the Boyne. Now, Kerna, I've seen it suggested that Kerna is a place in Meath represented now by two townlands called Cairns, Caornes, Cairns West and Cairns East. It has been suggested, who by now might be Kelly Kilpatrick, and for the sources on this, refer to the third monograph in the Mythical Ireland monograph series, the one about Fornox. Again, signed copies available on the Mythical Ireland website, which I will paste a link in. But Cairns is situated between Newgrange and Fornox in the county of Meath. And I've seen it suggested that Cairns might once have been the site of megalithic passage tombs, which would most likely be made of stone and would most likely be called cairns. Because what is a cairn except for a man-made or artificial mound made of stones? Sharon O'Farrell is in the house. Hello, Sharon. Welcome. One of the many, many, many watchers. Guinness has the same colour as Coke. And who'll know any of the difference, Monica? That's what I say. The washing of the horses of day, I said, that is Ange. For in it the men of day washed their horses when they came from the battle of Moitura. And it is called Ange, A-N-G-E, Ange, because the Tuatha De Danann washed their horses in it. The four-cornered Mandquilla, I said, that is Muinkilla, of course. The Mandquilla, M-A-N-D-C-H-U-I-L-E. Let me spell these out in the comments. M-A-N-D-C-H-U-I-L-E. That is, of course, Muincille, Muincille. So a very slightly changed variation of the name. It is there Man, M-A-N-N, the farmer was. And there he made spells in his great four-cornered chambers underground to keep off the plague from the cattle of Ireland in the time of Bresalbrech, King of Leinster. Now, this is interesting because it feeds in to a story in the metrical Dinshenicus about Douth, in which there's a king of Ireland whose name is Bresal Bodivad, Bresal, who is lacking in cattle. And a plague or a disease comes upon the cattle and decimating them until there is only one bull and 7 cows left. So this refers to a king of Leinster, Bresal Breck. Breck is usually from Brack speckled. Bresal the speckled. I have to sort of do more research on that one. And I just wonder how much of a confusion there has been at some point between a very ancient king or deity called Bresal and a later, perhaps historical king called Bresalbrech. Mark Gordon and Dawn Hilton have arrived late, but no, don't worry. The Black Book, the Obsidian Book, is a thing of the past. And not to worry, as I always say, better late than never, and it's always great to see you. Great crime, I said. That is Alvine, A-I-L-B-I-N-E. There was a king here in Ireland, Rua, son of Redond of Munster. Now, Rua is a word that means ruddy. It's kind of like a reddish, can mean reddish in complexion. Scarlet, I'm not sure about scarlet, but certainly ruddy, reddish. We have Jarug and Rua, which are two words that are used not just in modern Irish, actually, but in medieval or Middle Irish. Kim Dixon DeSothio is saying, hi from SC, just getting it. Is that South Carolina? Very good afternoon to you, Kim. You're very, very welcome. And as I always say, better late than never. It's a pleasure to have you in the house. Paddy versus Crum, combined with the death of Oncallaigh after stealing the reins, you get everything to make the battle of Indra and Vitra, son of Danu. There are some fascinating comparisons to be made with world mythology in lots of the Irish stories. He had an appointment, this is Rua, son of Redond of Munster. He had an appointment of meeting with foreigners, and he set out for the meeting round the south of Albon with 3 ships, and with 30 men were in each ship. But the ships were stopped, and they were held from below in the middle of the sea. And throwing jewels and precious things into the sea did not get them off. Then lots were cast among them who should go into the sea and find what was holding them. Because let's be honest, who would want that job? The ships are mysteriously stuck in the sea. Something is holding them from underneath. And somebody has to draw lots to go into the water to find out what it is. Yeah, Jaws. Definitely not a good time to go into the water. The lot fell on the king himself, Rua, son of Redond, and he leaped into the sea, and it closed over him. He lit upon a large plain where 9 beautiful women met him, and they confessed that it was they themselves had stopped the ships, the way that he might come to them. Sounds a little bit like the sirens, doesn't it? And he stopped with them 9 days, and they gave him 9 vessels of gold. And through the length of that time, his men were not able to go on through the power of the women. When he was going away, a woman of them said she would bear him a son, and that he must come back to them and bring away his son when he would be coming from the east. All sounds very mysterious. Yeah, a few people saying, hopefully not the Kraken. Yeah, not the Kraken. Yeah, ruddy nuisance, my mum used to say instead of bloody. exactly, ruddy. Then he joined his men, and they went on their voyage, and they stopped away 7 years. And then they came back by a different way. And they did not go near the same spot. They landed in the bay, and the sea women came up to them there, and the men heard them playing music. Sorry, yes? They landed in the bay, and the sea women came up to them there, and the men heard them playing music in their brazen ship. And then the women came to the shore, and they put the boy out of the ship on the land where the men were. And the harbour was stony and rocky, and the boy slipped and fell on one of the rocks, so that he died there. And the women saw it, and they cried all together, Olvene, Olvene, that is great crime. And it is from that it is called Alvene, Ailbine. The remnants of the great feast, I said. That is Tailne, Tailne. It was there the great feast was given to Lugh, son of Ethlin, who got lots and lots of mentions at Uisneach today by both Simon and myself, to comfort him after the Battle of Moytura, for that was his wedding feast of kingship. Interestingly. So Lugh was married immediately after Moytura? Really? Wow. Sorry, I'm taking a margin note here. My books are full of margin notes, mostly written in pencil. In the garden of Lugh, to the daughters of Tethra's nephew, I said, for Forgol Manach is sister's son of Tethra, king of the Fomor. As to the account of myself I gave her, there are 2 rivers in the land of Ross. Conchovar is the name of one of them, and it mixes with the other. And I am the nephew of Conchovar. And as to the plague that comes on dogs, it is wild fierceness. And truly I am a strong fighter of that plague. For I am wild and fierce in battles and in fights. And the wood of Bow, B-A-D-B, that is in the land of Ross, the wood of the Morrigu, the battle crow, the goddess of battle. And when she said that no man should come to the plain of her breasts until he had killed 3 times 9 men with one blow, and yet had saved 1 man from each 9, it is what she meant, that 3 brothers of her own will be guarding her, Iver, Shever, and Cot, and a company of 9 with each of them. And it is what I must do. I must strike a blow on each 9, from which 8 will die, but no stroke will reach any of her brothers among them. And I must carry her and her foster sister, with their share of gold and silver, out of the dun of Forgol. Wow, that would take some skill. There are 3 groups of 9 warriors, and I must strike a blow on each group that will kill 8 and save only, in each case, the 3 brothers of Emer. Go out from Samhain to Oimel, she said. Long discussion today both at the summit of Uisneach at St. Patrick's Bed, where I was talking about the astronomical, or the supposed astronomical origins of Lunasa as a cross-quarter festival, and also as an Enoch or assembly festival. and also as a tribute to the foster mother of Lou Thalchu. Myself and Simon, separately at the end of the tour, had a discussion about this. So here's one of these mentions, Simon, if you happen to be watching. And I know you usually watch these back afterwards. Go out from Samhain to Oimel, she said. Now, I would immediately take that to mean this is a wintertime story. From Samhain at the beginning of winter to Oimel or Imbolc at the beginning of spring. That is, that I shall fight without harm to myself. From Samhain, the end of summer, to Oimel, the beginning of spring. And from the beginning of spring to Bealtaine, which is the beginning of summer. And from that to Brone Trogan. And Brone Trogan, I was telling our visitors at Ishnok today, Brone Trogan is the ancient name of Lunasa, the harvest festival. And it literally means the earth sorrows. Why does the earth sorrow? In giving up its wonderful bounty, all of its harvest of crops and fruits and nuts and all of the rest, it is then reverting to a barren state. It is sorrow in the act of spreading joy. Now, for a nice, sorry, bear with me one moment. I'm having technical difficulties here. The channel has no content that matched. No, don't give me that. I definitely made a video called Brone Trogan. Why is it not coming up? Ah, here we go. There it is. Yeah. So I shall share as a link a very short video. It's only less than 4 minutes, where you can watch a little sort of, I don't know what to call it, a nice video, a nice tribute to the old idea of Brone Trogan. Now, yes, houses of the moon. 27 is a lunar number. So when we see 3 9s in Irish myth, I'm always inclined to think of the tropical or sidereal month, the time it takes the moon to return to the same background stars, you know. Amanda June's books are also full of margin notes. Yeah, I know all about it. Sirens or Selkies? Yes, Selkies also. Yeah, maybe I'll start that paragraph again. Go out from Samhain to Oimel, I said. That is, that I shall fight without harm to myself. So this is Cuchulainn saying, I'm going to be able to fight through the winter without any harm coming to me. From Samhain, the end of summer, actually Samhain is really the end of autumn and the beginning of winter, but yeah, to Oimel, the beginning of spring, and from the beginning of spring to Bealtaine, and from that to Brone Trogan. Is he effectively saying I'll be able to fight for most of the year from Samhain to the following Lunasa without harm coming to him? So that appears to be what he's saying. From Oi, in the language of poetry, for Oi in the language of poetry is the name for sheep, and Oimel is the time when the sheep come out and are milked. Now, this appears to be a copy of what is stated in Cormac's glossary for Imbolc, Oimilk. He says that it is from the ewe's milk. So I don't know whether the scribe who's writing this story down is familiar with the 9th century Cormac's glossary, but it looks very familiar. And Suain is a gentle sound, Suain, and it is at Samhain that gentle voices sound. And Bealtaine is a favouring fire. Cue the Bealtaine Fire Festival at Ishnok. For it is at that time the Druids used to make fires with spells and to drive the cattle between them against the plagues of every year. Of course, Idir na Gá Hinne Bhealtaine, to drive the cattle between the two Bhealtaine fires, also means to be in a predicament. If you wanted to say in a roundabout way, I'm in a bit of a predicament, Os Gaeilge in Irish, you would say, Tá mé Idir na Gá Hinne Bhealtaine. And Bron Trogan, that is the beginning of autumn. For it is then that the earth is in labour, that is, the earth under fruit. Bron Trogan, the trouble of the earth. And Bron is a word that carries forward into modern Irish, and it means sadness. When you say Tá Bhron Orm, you say sadness is upon me. You don't say I am sad. You're not saying you're identifying with it. Moncon McGann is very good on this point. You're saying it's on me. In other words, it can come off again. You're not saying you are it, you know. Yes, indeed. So Sharon was asking Francis about details. Watch this space. The forthcoming Monumental Ireland and Mythical Ireland joint tour of Sligo. Yeah. That'll be fun. That'll be interesting. That will be deeply fascinating. Then Cuchulainn went on his way, and he slept that night in Abhainn Macha. When Forgal came back to his dun, and his lords of the land, sorry, I think it's possible. Let me just too many tabs open. El Doggo needs to go and do El Pupo. Do you like the way I sort of couched that in poetic kenning, in metaphorical language? On Madrageen requires un puageen. Yes, indeed. When Forgal came back to his dun, and the lords of land his lords of land with him, their daughters were telling them of the young man that had come in a splendid chariot, and how himself and Emer had been talking together, and they could not understand their talk with one another. The lords of land told this to Forgal, and it is what he said. You may be sure it is the mad boy from Abhainn Macha has been here, and he and the girl have fallen in love with one another. But they will gain nothing by that, he said, for it is I will hinder them. What's the opposite of a matchmaker? A marriage breaker? I don't know. With that, Forgal went out to Abhainn with the appearance of a foreigner on him, and he gave out that he was sent by the king of the Gaul to speak with Conchobar, and to bring him a present of golden treasures, and wine of the Gaul, and many other things. Now, Gaul is a word that is at certain times in history used to describe the foreigners, the Vikings particularly. So if you're familiar with the county of Donegal, that is apparently derived from, yes, that is derived from Donegal, the fort of the foreigners. To speak with Conchobar and to bring him a present of golden treasures and wine of the Gaul and many other things. Gold and wine and many other things. I wonder what those other things are exactly. And he brought some of his men with him, and there was a great welcome before them. And on the third day, Cuchulainn and Conall and other chariot chiefs of Ulster were praised before him. And he said it was right for them to be praised, and that they did wonderful feats, and Cuchulainn above them all. But he said that if Cuchulainn would go to Scáthach, the woman warrior that lived in the east of Alban is usually taken to refer to Scotland, his skill would be more wonderful still. for he could not have perfect knowledge of the feats of a warrior without that. But his reason for saying this was that he thought if Cuchulainn set out, he would never come back again. Through the dangers he would put around him on the journey, and through the wildness and the fierceness of the people about Scáthach. So in other words, his real reason for sending Cuchulainn to train with the woman Scáthach in eastern Alba was to prevent Cuchulainn and Emer from becoming an item, boyfriend and girlfriend. So then Forgal went home, and Cuchulainn rose up in the morning and made ready to set out for Alban. And Lair Boadach, the battle winner, and Conall Ciarnach said they would go with him. But first Cuchulainn went across the plain of Braga to visit Emer and to talk with her before going in the ship. And she told him how it was Forgal had gone to Awan and had advised him to go and learn warriors' feats, the way they two might not meet again. In other words, she was wily. She was awake to Forgal's treachery. Then each of them promised to be true to the other till they would meet again, unless death should come between them. And they said farewell to one another, and Cuchulainn turned towards Alban. When they came there, they stopped for a while at the forge of Donal, the smith. Ha! Here we go, Tom. Get some ideas. No, you don't need any ideas. You're too bloody busy. Because if you get an idea, then you're going to have to spend time developing said idea. But you never know. A flash of inspiration could come from the line of a story. They stopped at a while at the forge of Donal, the smith. And when they set out to go to the east of Alban, and then they set out to go to the east of Alban. But before they had gone far, a vision came before their eyes of Awan Macha, and Lera and Conall were not able to pass by it, and they turned back. It was Forgal raised that vision to draw them away from Cuchulainn, that he might be in the more danger being alone. Methinks the treacherous Forgal has underestimated our Cuchulainn by just the tiniest amount. What do you reckon? Then Cuchulainn went on by himself on a strange road, and he was sad and tired and downhearted for the loss of his comrades. But he held to his word that he would not go back to Awan without finding Scáthach, even if he should die in the attempt. But now he was astray and ignorant, and not knowing which way to take, and he saw a terrible great beast like a lion coming towards him, and it watching him. But it did not try to harm him. Whatever way he went, the beast went before him. And then it stopped and turned its side to him. So he made a leap and was on its back. And he did not guide it, but went whatever way it chose. And here, folks, in Irish mythology is the first mention of circus tricks. That was an admittedly very poor attempt at humour from me. And if none of you laugh, well, I can completely understand. I sympathise with you. They travelled like that through 4 days, till they came to the end of the bounds of men. Cuchulainn on the back of a lion, wandering in a strange landscape, and they came to the end of the bounds of men. Presumably that means man-made boundaries. In other words, they are now entering what we would call wilderness, beyond where humans would dare to go. And to an island where lads were rowing in a small loch. So apparently not a place where men wouldn't go, because all of a sudden, even though they've reached the boundaries of men, they see more men. A bit contradictory, but then that is the nature of some of the Irish stories. And the lads began to laugh when they saw a beast of that sort and a man riding it. And then Cuchulainn leaped off, and the beast left him, and he bade it farewell. Thank you, lion, or strange creature, for bearing me on your back up until this point for the period of 4 days. Now, see, the telling of Cuchulainn's visit to Scáthach we have to keep for another episode. Let me just quickly determine. We'll read another paragraph or two, and then we must stop. You see, there has to be a cliffhanger. There has to be something that makes you want to come back next week. And let's be honest, it's not going to be my jokes. He passed on till he came to a large house in a deep valley, and a comely young girl in it. And she spoke to him and bade him welcome. A welcome before you, Cuchulainn, she said. He asked her, how did she know him? And she said, I was a foster child of Wulfkin, the Saxon, the time you came there to learn sweet speech from him. So this isn't mentioned before. All of a sudden, in the story of Cuchulainn visiting Alba to go training with Scáthach, we have a mention of him having been with Wulfkin the Saxon and having learned sweet speech from him. Something that hasn't been mentioned before. Curious. And she gave him meat and drink, and he went away from her. Then he met with a young man, and he gave him the same welcome. And he said his name was Eochu, E-O-C-H-U, which is a variant of Yochi, which is quite often in Irish stories the name of a king. And they talked together, and Cuchulainn asked him what was the way to Scáthach's Dun. The young man told him the way. Across the plain of ill luck, because you'd really want to go that way, wouldn't you? That lay before him, and he said that on the near side of the plain, the feet of men would stick fast, and on the far side, every blade of grass would rise and hold them fast on its points. And he gave him a wheel, and bade him to follow its track across one half of the plain. And he gave him an apple along with that, and bade him to throw it, and to follow the way it went, till he would reach the end of the plain. And he told him many other things that would happen him, and how he would win a great name at the last. And then each of them wished a blessing to the other. And Cuchulainn did as he bade him, and so he got across the plain and went on his journey. And then, as the young man had told him, he came to a valley, and it full of monsters, sent there by Forgal to destroy him, and only one narrow path through it, but he went through safely. And after that, his road led through a terrible, wild mountain. Then he came to the place where Scáthach's scholars were, and among them he saw Ferdiad, son of Davon, and Naoise, Ainle, and Ardon, the 3 sons of Ishnach. And when they knew that he was from Ireland, they welcomed him with kisses and asked for news of their own country. He asked them where was Scáthach. In that island beyond, they said. What way must I take to reach her? He asked. By the bridge of the cliff, they said, and no man can cross it till he has proved himself a champion, and many a king's son has got his death there. Shinawil. Let me just catch up on comments and questions. Maybe we come back for the friendship and the banter. Yeah, well, it wouldn't want to be the jokes. Breaking news. The inventor of the heat index has died. He was 88, but he felt a lot more like 107. I just looked over, says Desiree, and Amadeus is lying down hugging at my red heart pillow, like the teddy on the table behind Anthony. Yeah. So, how do we determine that this teddy? So I'm telling you, this teddy is not mine. And you're all saying, yeah, right, Anthony. Yeah. We believe you, right? Do you want the evidence? Proof that this teddy is not mine. There it is. It's definitely not mine. Wow, Desiree. That totally out of focus teddy in the background that you managed to spot. Very observant, I have to say. Like the Greek hero myths. Yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it? I mean, it reminds you of the sort of the trials of, Achilles and Hercules and etc., etc. Yeah, there are a lot of similarities. Well, Anne is best mum. In this house, she certainly is. There's no doubt about it. Lingenfelder is laughing. I'm not sure. Was that the heat index joke or the revelation of whose teddy it really was? Trying to find another joke. An invisible man married an invisible woman. I don't know what they saw in each other. Their kids are nothing to look at either. A man went to his shrink, and the receptionist said, "What seems to be the problem?" He says, "I think I'm invisible." She said, "The doctor can't see you today." I'm just curious if Amadeus saw the bear and decided to hug the pillow, or if it was just a weird coincidence. Why don't you ask him? Of course. Yes. So questions and comments welcome. But we have reached the conclusion of the reading for this week. Oh man, yeah. It's been a busy time. Because he's a husky and a very long-winded answers. You're not wrong. Sharon has just spotted on Gawa. Tom is off having a nippy sweetie while admiring the dusk. Or I think it's just post-sunset. Sun has gone down in the last 10 or 20 minutes. Lots and lots of discussion and comments and crack. CRAIC. For the non-Irish who don't perhaps immediately know what I mean by that. Yeah, Roan Throgan. The Earth Sorrows. A nice little short, less than 4 minute film on YouTube. Very important question. What bin tonight? Well, it's green and brown, but what I usually do is put the green one out, and then in the morning when that's emptied, I put the brown one. They don't collect them together. So the green one is our recycling bin and the brown one is our compost bin. So once they empty the green bin, then I'll put out the brown bin for a later collection. Dressing up Coda. Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Glad you enjoyed it. Have a brilliant day. Arctophile. Definition: a person who collects or likes teddy bears. That is a new one on me, Alan. Wow. Okay, well, that, thank you. And we'll hopefully see you all next week. If indeed we don't see some of you between now and then, which is always a possibility. Lots of people have been flocking to Ireland for holidays and breaks and tours and just to connect with the extraordinary landscape of this ancient land. And lots of renewed interest in Irish myths and legends among the indigenous population and indeed internationally. A theme touched upon in the radio discussion on Saturday in Athlone. And just a reminder that I'm going to be sent a recording of that, which I'm going to podcast first and foremost for Mythical Ireland patrons at the Bronze Age level. How did arrive at mythical bins? It's a feat of great warrior skill and heroism most weeks, Brendan, because sometimes those bins are really, really heavy. You know, I'm just gonna put that out there. You know, you're very welcome, Mariana. Take care. I hope you have a great week. Have a great Lunasa, everyone. Exactly, Marilyn. Thank you indeed. Mouse has a teddy bear and it travels with her on the road. A teddy. No shame in a teddy sharing your office, Anthony. No. And also an owl. Does anybody see the owl? I love Ireland. I loved Ireland, says Kim. Visited family and learned about my heritage. Can't wait to go back. Brilliant stuff. Well, come here. As soon as you're able. We're always open. Dronf is saying hello. Hi, Dronf. At the very end of the episode. But not to worry. We're saying hello anyway. And of course, as soon as our live stream is finished, a video of the live stream is immediately available to rewatch on the YouTube channel. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Anthony. Thank you, Brendan, for joining us. Always a pleasure. Anne McCallum, you're very welcome. Have a lovely evening. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day/evening. See you next week. Yes, indeed. And to Michael Trott. Whoo, said Owl. Whoo, whoo. I suspect somebody in the house is trying to impersonate an owl. Whoo. Oh, it's you. Yes, indeed. That old nugget, Tom. Oh, yes, indeed. YouTube Brawler, check the link of Ohm and Ohm for spiritual fun. Indeed. Thank you. And Anthony. Yes, indeed. Nico and Stephen and Mouse. A lovely owl. Sure. You want to have a closer look. While he just quickly blows the dust off it. There is megalithic art at Fornox that looks like this. Looks like two big circles and a beak under it. I'm telling you. And when I ask my tour participants at Fornox, I say, what do you see there? Without leading them, a lot of them say, first of all, they see a face, and then they say they see an owl. And there it is. The two eyes and the beak. Interesting stuff. Anyway, at that, I will say, Sláinte, Slán Gofol. Wish you could all be here for my birthday celebration tomorrow. Elaine's birthday is tomorrow. Well, I suppose as a last minute thing, I could get in an airplane in the morning and get there in the evening. No, that's not going to work. Happy birthday, Elaine. Hope you have a fabulous day. I can't have candles on my cake because that much fire is too dangerous. And come here, don't forget the little nippy sweetie as well. A very happy breath loss, Honadich, Elaine, from all of us. Good night, Sharon. Thanks for joining us. Pleasure to see you, by the way. Barbara Murphy's wishing everyone a happy, healthy, and safe week. Thank you indeed. Many happy returns, Barbara. Now we have an owl leading us down a rabbit hole. Interesting combination, I'm telling you. Anyway, from me to all of you, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to tune in next week. This is a weekly live stream. We've been streaming since March of 2020. Back then it was once a day during the pandemic. These days it's on a Monday, same time every week, except for occasionally I have to reschedule, but I try to give you as much warning about that as possible. So same time, that's 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific, and it's 9 and 10 p.m. in places like Spain and Germany. I'm not exactly sure of the... Funny enough, I know the American times better than I do the European ones. You'd imagine I should know better than that anyway. Mention bins, and he starts talking rubbish. 100% right, Alan, and that is right up my street when it comes to humour. A cheesy dad pun like no other, you know. I'm going to miss next week, says Barbara. I'm taking a private tour of a mega rare books collection, including a signed first edition of Lord of the Rings. Wow. Can I come? That sounds fantastic. Tell us all about it afterwards. Don't forget. It's 9 p.m. in Switzerland. Okay, so it's an hour. You're an hour ahead of us. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, because it means even if we finish at 9:30, that's 10:30. Is that before or after bedtime for people? I don't know. Depends on whether you're a night owl or so. I see how I introduced the owl into the whole thing again. Anyway, never mind. I'm going to finish now. Thank you for joining us. Have a fabulous week. All that remains for me to say at this moment in time is Ikawa, Kolos Sov, Slán Gafol, and most importantly, August Tog Go Bugay. Take it easy.